If you have a pile of money, say you have $1 billion, and you're in an environment where interest rates are high and the central banks aren't printing any more money, well, you could take the billion, invest it at 5% or 6% interest, and if the money's holding its value, then your savings account works. If you have that $1 billion and the money supply is expanding at 10 or 15 or 20% a year, then the way to protect yourself is to convert that currency into a hard asset. You either buy $1 billion worth of buildings, or $1 billion worth of land, or $1 billion worth of oil, or $1 billion worth of gold. The problem with buying gold is gold miners keep producing more gold. So over 30 years, the gold supply doubles. And so your money is losing value at 2 or 3% a year. And then nobody wants to rent the gold. It's hard to borrow against it. It's hard to generate yield on it. It's a dead metal. That's why people oftentimes go to like real estate, and I buy buildings and hotels and land and farms and timberland rights. Well, now I can generate some yield, and maybe I can borrow against it. I can mortgage it. But, it's that's a 20th century idea, right? The idea of owning land and buildings has been around for a long time. The 21st century idea is, what if I had the best of both worlds? What if I could create a digital gold that you could never make any more of, that had no weight, that I could move at the speed of light? And then what if I could actually loan it out to bankers anywhere in the world and get a yield on it? Or what if I could borrow against it? So Bitcoin is capped at 21 million. It's decentralized network, so no CEO, no company, or no government can change that. We don't even know how to change it. It's protected by millions and millions of computers spread all over the world. And, if you held a gun to someone's head and said, you got to change it, no one could. So the power of a decentralized crypto asset network like that is durability and integrity over time, over 100 years. I want to know that no one will ever create any more. You can create more gold, you can create more buildings, you could say, well, I can't create any more land, but yeah, you can't create more land on Central Park, but you can create more land in Kansas or the Great West. And so the problem with other assets is they're not scarce. And the other problem is they're in the real world. And as you know, we live in a 21st century cyber economy. So what would you rather have? A $1 billion hotel in Vegas that is 70% occupied, that charges Vegas rates, or a $1 billion digital hotel that you can decompose and you can rent the rooms in any city in the world, and you could rent the rooms by the hour, and you can recompose it again, and you can move it at the speed of light, and you don't have to worry about any damage or maintenance costs to it. And you could, if you had that digital property, that would be interesting to 8 billion people with mobile phones. And that would be interesting to high-speed, high-frequency traders. At some point, if I can convert the physical hotel to a digital hotel, and then I can rent out the rooms by the room minute to 100,000 different places with a computer, you can see how the rates go up, the utilization goes up. I can develop that property much better than I can develop land, in the Midwest. It's interesting to everybody. If I had the best land in Istanbul, or the best land in Paris, or the best land in New York, when it comes time to borrow against it, only the bankers in that city will loan me money. When it comes time to rent it or lease it out, only people that want to be in that city will want that property. And when it comes time to sell it, maybe I can sell it to the richest person in Istanbul or the richest person in Paris. But with Bitcoin is a city in cyberspace. And when it comes time to sell it, everybody on earth will want it. They do want it. It's global. And you have these interesting possibilities to use it as collateral with 100,000 different counterparties, or to develop it with 100,000 different businesses. So we see Bitcoin as not just digital gold, we see it as digital property, and that makes it a very valuable commodity to build the 21st century cyber economy on. And it's a technology play as much as it is a macroeconomic investment. And that's what makes it really compelling from a shareholder point of view. Well, following on your observation, Bitcoin can be thought of as just a speculative asset, and it's irrelevant to government. It's just the tale of some random creature, right, in a show. And when you start thinking of it as digital gold, it becomes interesting to macroeconomic investors. But you realize gold's not the right metaphor because you just park $1 billion of gold in a vault. And then you think of it as digital property, and it becomes more powerful because now you realize it generates yield and you can mortgage it, and now it becomes a something that has 100 trillion to 200 trillion of impact. But to your point, what is property? Property is matter. Einstein said you can either destroy energy or destroy matter or create it. Matter becomes energy, energy becomes matter. If I take digital property and I oscillate it at 60 megahertz and I decompose it into 1 million pieces every second and recompose it, and there is no power loss, it's not property anymore, it's energy. It's digital energy. And theoretical Austrian economists might say, oh, it's digital money. But money is too complicated a term. So if we come back to an engineering observation, it's digital energy. Well, it's digital energy is a major, profound breakthrough. And what does that mean? Well, I can power any device with digital energy. I can power one day cars and phones, and I can power a city or a state or a government or a corporation or a trust or a family on digital energy. Digital energy is a major disruption in the world. We talk about Bitcoin being maybe the most disruptive force in the decade. Well, many people think it's the most disruptive force in the century. And I'll give you some examples. We have 66 countries that have dollarized. Their currencies have collapsed. So they need dollars, but the traditional banking system is very inefficient at delivering dollars. So in El Salvador, 2/3 of the population didn't have access to banks, but they don't have a native currency. And so Bitcoin, because it's not just an asset, but it's a network. Bitcoin served as the underlying monetary network to deliver digital dollars and a savings account to 3 million El Salvadorian citizens in 3 weeks. So 3 million people download a mobile app, and they have a checking account with dollars in it, and they have a savings account that's been yielding 130% interest for the past decade. And what was the variable cost for that? Not even the phone. They've already got the phone. The variable cost was a 1 minute or 2 minute download of a mobile application to a phone they already had running over mobile lines. So why should a government care about this? Well, Bitcoin is likely the network that spreads across the entire world. It spreads the US dollar to 6 billion people. Yeah, it would spread to 8 billion people if the Chinese didn't try to block it, right? But it will spread everywhere in the world, to Africa, to Asia. So Bitcoin is spreading the U.S. currency. The U.S. dollar is going to strengthen because of the Bitcoin monetary network running on a protocol called Lightning. Lightning allows you to move any amount of money effectively for free instantaneously. So for example, Fong, you can't send $50 via Apple Pay to a friend in Paris right now. You can hardly send it to Canada. You can't send it to Mexico. You certainly couldn't send it to your mother, if she was living in El Salvador. This is a big deal for countries, right? It's a geopolitical deal because in El Salvador, what that means is they're paying $400 million to Western Union and taking 4 to 8 hours to move money, and they can't move it except 9 to 5. And so Bitcoin and Lightning and that network means that you now have a technology to deliver free, instantaneous remittances to billions and billions of people everywhere in the world for the cost of a mobile phone download. So that's very interesting.